Oh, remove your back. Yeah. Om. One of those little cups is fine. One of the clay cups, I'll take the top. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. I think we'll see if it's good in a second. Let us see.
I'm going to need to raise it for another turn. Okay.
Kumalakantam, can you share this on mine?
Yeah.
Chapter 5. If I can find chapter 5. Chapter 1. Aha. Are we good?
Yeah, you're.
Very good.
You do need.
Mint and no, tulsi and ginger today. ¿Estás confortable? ¿Estás bien? Okay. Narayan. Thank you.
Madhuri, you want some tea?
What a perfect evening to be in the garden.
Yeah.
As we start. Please turn off your radio while you're answering.
Silence your cell phone. It's magic. Unless you're liking the.
Yeah. Om Mangalam Gurudevaya Devye Matrikcha Mangalam Mangalam Bhakta Brindevyo Sarva Lokaya Mangalam Om Stapakaya Dharmasya Sarva Dharma Surupine Avatara Varishtaya Ramakrishnaya Te Namaha Om Jananim Sharadam Devim Ramakrishnam Jagatgurum Parapadme Tayostritva Pranamami Muhur Muhur Om Sara Shiva Samarambam Shankarachara Madhyamam Ashmarachara Prayantam Vande Gurum Param Param Vande Gurum Param Param. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Shri Hari. So we've come once again. The weather has changed, the time has changed, signaling this most auspicious Devi Navaratri, the fall Navaratri. And every year when people give talks, including myself, we talk on Navaratri, we always the same thing has to be said, is that this is not Navaratri. Navaratri is in spring. Because when do you worship the Divine Mother? The Divine Mother in the ancient world is understood to be nature herself. This is her form. Verses we'll read is showing everything is her form. And so nature also has her cycles. Nature goes to sleep, nature sleeps, nature wakes up, nature is active, just like we go to sleep at night. So these are, of course, she doesn't really go to sleep, and even if we're deep in sleep, somebody says, Tripti, you wake up. Right? So part of you, not you're fully asleep, but most of your consciousness, you need some rest. So the idea is that during the fall and winter, Ma goes to sleep and rest. You can see all nature, and the energy of most trees, not in California, but the rest of the world, the rest of America, right? The energy is pulled into the trunk as she goes, as the trees begin to sleep and the leaves fall. We call it fall. Maybe not the right reason, but and then winter, she seems to be fully sleeping, and then spring, you can see, everything's coming. We even say, everything. We see the beginning, little sprouts coming, and the trees and the flowers, and the buzzing bees, and everything comes alive. So we also go through that little bit, that cycle. We're active. We get very excited in spring and awake, right? And we're fully active, maybe too much active in summer. And fall, you see, weather changes. You put on, want to be in a blankie, sit by the fire, and by winter, everything slows down. So this is the cycle of nature. This is our cycle also. And so during the spring, when Ma is waking up, when nature seems to be waking up, her worship was put. Her 9 days, the Navaratri was established. But as the story goes, in Treta Yuga, during the time of Lord Ram, Sita had been stolen by the demon king Ravana, and by the time it came for Ram to fight and to attack, there's a seat still over here behind. By the time it came to attack, we know from the story of Ramayana that Sita was given 1 year to surrender to Ravana, or she'll be killed. So by this time, it was only 1 month or so away before that year would end. So Ram had to fight, had to go and rescue Sita, had to fight. But in ancient world, also in order to fight, we need Shakti. And that Shakti is another name for Devi. And Durga is a goddess of, we usually don't think of the goddess of war, but she is the goddess of war in a certain sense. She's a battle goddess, especially in the ancient world. Kali and Durga would be worshipped. Even Arjuna, before the battle of Kurukshetra, Krishna took Arjuna and told him to worship Bhadrakali. Right, was worship Bhadrakali, he was able to fight in the war. So similarly, these pujas would be done. Even historically, if we get the little through anthropology and the like, you can say, Durga Puja was put at the end of the harvest season before you went to attack other villages, still steal their grains. Or she was worshipped before battle, right? She's connected to that somehow. So he was in a problem because he wanted to do Durga Puja, but it wasn't the proper time. So if he waited till spring, according to the story, Sita wouldn't be killed, but Sita would be killed, as per the story. So he did, what is it, what's the term for untimely awakening? Udbadan, Nishkal Udbadan, or something like that. Forgive me if I get it wrong, it's in my head. We'll have to do it in a few days, that's why. But it means untimely awakening. He had to wake up Ma, just as she was falling asleep. The beginning of fall. Hey, Ma, wake up. I need your help. I need some Shakti. I need some of your weapons. I need your energy. So he did this puja, and he worshipped Ma Durga in the fall, right? And so the first ceremony, it's done actually on the 6th day, on Shasti, during Durga Puja. It's the untimely, where you waken up Ma. First you install her in some trees, into a water pot, and some grass. There's a whole system. And then finally installing her in the image and worshiping her for those days, and then letting her go. So it says since that time, it always say, recently it switched from spring to fall, but that means Treta Yuga. So it's kind of silly to say recently. Recently meant hundreds of thousands of years ago it switched. And even you go look in the almanacs, it says in Kali Yuga now it's worshipped. It's popular in the fall. But there's still so that's the story version of why we celebrate Navaratri in the fall instead of the spring. Or we still celebrate in the spring, but why more popular in the fall? And they said out of the example of Lord Ram. But also, just as we're saying, in fall you begin to go to sleep, right? You begin to get a little lazy. You begin to wake up a little, go to sleep a little later, wake up a little later. It's like it's easy to let our disciplines down and become a little bit spiritually complacent, right? And so sometimes we need some festival, and not just a festival, it's a festival of Shakti, to awaken energy, awaken courage, and sadhana. And this happens in life itself, but also in spiritual life. Our sadhana Shakti goes down. So we do something to increase our sadhana Shakti. And we invoked that same warrior goddess, but now the inner, maybe still in this world people are fighting external battles, unfortunately, but still we have in spite of all that, we still have inner battles to fight, right? And during the darker time, as Halloween comes like that, the ghouls start coming out, right? Internally and externally, right? And so the goddess is awakened and worshipped and prayed to, and the prayers of the Chandi is read, the Devi Mahatmya is read, and these stories are meditated upon. Mahishasura is invoked. That's the deity that we'll be worshipping this year. The different forms of the Dashmahavijas, the different forms of Durga, the different forms of Devi, all over are being worshipped. And it's given a symbolic meaning because in the stories there's always a fight between the gods and the demons. So it's easy to say between good and evil, between darkness and light. You can say like that, or internally also between our lower nature, or can't say lower because we don't want to overly demonize our own tendencies, right? Because we demonize our human tendencies, then that's a big problem because we're only human. Right, and that's a problem. We've demonized our most natural tendencies. So that's not a good idea, right? At the same time, the story, because the story is not about our natural tendencies, it's about Mahishasura and Shumba and Nishumba. But yogis look at it and say this is a very good metaphor for our inner struggles, right? So the killing of Mahisha is not actually killing our laziness or our lust or our greed or our fickleness, right? It's a story of killing an ancient demon, right? The ancient world understanding, mythological story. Right, but it's the yogi. The thing is also, it's a very good metaphor. Also, as we meditate upon the Devi, the battle between good and evil, it's also our own inner struggle can be strengthened and reflected in the system of sadhana and our struggles in sadhana. So in the Chandi, I wanted to read today from the 5th chapter, Charitra of the Chandi, and this is known as the Aparajita Stuti. And there's in the Chandi is 700 verses in Devi Mahatmyam. It's called the Chandi because it's the most popular name of the goddess. There's so many names of the goddess in the Chandi, in the Devi Mahatmyam, the glories of the goddess, but the one most used is Chandi. Therefore, it's called the Chandi by habit. The text actually says, and even some mantra says one who chants the Chandi, but it means the seven or the what's the other Saptashati, the 700 verses. So it's 700 verses, like the Gita is 700 verses, like the Devi Gita is 700 verses, right? Within those 700 verses, there's 13 main chapters. Within those 13 main chapters, there are 3 main stories, right? First is the story of the killing of Madhu and Kaitaba, and this is when Vishnu is sleeping on the ocean, and from the dirt of his ears come 2 insect-like creatures, Madhu and Kaitaba, and they see Brahma in the navel of Lord Vishnu, and they say, "Oh, look at him, let's get him." Right. So in the past we've given many hundreds of hours of interpretation of these mantras. They're on podcasts if you want to hear them. But so Brahma, not knowing what to do, he says, "Vishnu, wake up!" But Vishnu is asleep. So this is very mixed. Then he does this beautiful prayer called what is it called? Something called Brahma Stuti, but the tantric, the tantric hymn of night. I forget. Actually I have it right here, but. Tantroktam Rakti Shuktam, right? And it's very beautiful. It's actually it's actually the Chandi is not supposed to be chanted at night, but this mantra can be chanted at night because it's during the night of dissolution. There's no sun yet. There's no moon yet. There's only darkness. There's only the ocean of causality, and Vishnu, who's God, who's consciousness, who's the very ground of being, is asleep. So it's a very difficult problem. And so he has to wake up Vishnu. So these prayers, who do you pray to? If you say Vishnu, wake up, he didn't wake up. You yank on the lotus, still nothing, right? How do you wake him up? There's some that begins a hint. There's something or someone who's made him asleep. So everything is personified. If consciousness is personified as Vishnu, right, and potentiality is personified as Anantashesha, if you start personifying, then sleep is also personified. Who is it that made Vishnu, who's God, asleep? Right? In some sense, we don't want to get overly sectarian, but seems to be stronger than God. Can put even God to sleep, even Vishnu to sleep. The mantra even says that makes Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva take incarnations. What is that energy? Who is that energy? Right? And so that's the story. So they pray to her, right, as Yoga Nidra. Right? That's some yogic sleep that puts even Vishnu to sleep. And in yoga, there's a technique of Yoga Nidra. That's not what's meant here. Yoga Nidra is a sleep of ignorance. Right? It's not just visualizing and relaxing and chanting. It's a very advanced yogic technique for relaxation and rejuvenation. But it's not. Can I have a little more? Thank you. It's a small cup. There's a benefit of having giant coconut cups. You fit like 20 of these in it. Thank you, dear. So he prays this hymn, and Tvam Swaha, Tvam Swaha. It's a very beautiful hymn, and please awaken. And the story, we don't tell that story, but she wakes up Vishnu, withdraws herself. Vishnu fights those demons, and so a long thing. Madhun Kaitaba. Peace is restored in the universe. Brahma. But then eventually, again, these are very subtle demons. Then another demon comes, and what's the second demon in the story? Second story is Mahishasura. Mahishasura is a very gross demon, right? He's the story in the past we've told the stories from Devi Bhagavatam, the background story of Mahisha. In the Chandi, it's not his background story is not told. He says when Mahishasura was when Indra was king, one time when Indra was king of heaven and Mahisha was king of the demons, there was a war, and Mahisha won and sat on Indra's throne. That's how it starts. It's a very big deal. Indra's been kicked off, and Mahisha sits on Indra's throne. Very nice situation. So who is that Mahisha? And the story goes he was a demon who did tremendous tapasya, and he got a boon. And again, there's a very complicated story, but his special boon is that he could take on any form he liked, right? And the form he liked was that of a buffalo, right? So it also shows he's a magical creature, right? But he took on the form of very crude, not like the majestic buffaloes of the American plains. The water buffalo is not considered a very, not, who knows what their inner world is, but not considered the symbol of intelligence and kind of a crude type of creature, the water buffaloes. And he fell in love with a buffalo, right, and had a child from that buffalo. Or he became the child of that buffalo. I'm forgetting exactly. But anyway, so it's not a very refined quality. So he's given. If we were to look for a semblance or a symbolic correspondence within us, what would it be? Usually, it's given the interpretation like lust, and a very animalistic, crude and animalistic, not love and romance. It's a very crude animalistic level, right? And so sometimes Mahisha takes over, right? And we say so. It happens again and again in the cosmic cycle. It's not the first time such demons have taken over, right? It happens almost yearly in the world. Like things that it's happening right now. Various Mahishas are fighting there, and the problem is Mahishas on all sides of the issue now. It used to be really easy when you're on the side of good, and Mahishas on the other side. It's not always that clean and clear anymore. But Mahisha takes over sometimes daily, right? Right. From one conversation to the next, Mahisha can take over the mind, right, and sit on Indra's throne. Indra, if we were to give Indra the interpretation of like the ego or the central personality, the I sense, the one that's controlling everything, right? All of a sudden we lose. That's precarious enough. And all the stories, Indra's a little bit precarious. He messes up easily. He loses his position easily. Right, right. That's one of the qualities of Indra, but so we're already a little uncomfortable being Indras, right? Here I am, a little master of my own little world, and trying to control all the energies in my head, right? And all of a sudden, some low quality thing just completely fills my mind, takes over. Then Mahisha has become Indra, right? It's like more embarrassing than anything. When it's like, luckily nobody sees in our mind, right? Right, daily, right? From moment to moment, sometimes the battle goes on. So in that story, the gods were chased away, and they went to. I forget. First, I think they go to Brahma, then they all from Brahma. They go to Vishnu, and they go to Shiva, something like that. It's been a year since I've read it, so forgive me if it's not fresh in my mind. And Shiva gets very angry, and a light from his forehead comes, and then Vishnu gets angry, and a light from his forehead comes, and then Brahma gets angry, and all the gods from their own energy shoots forth and creates some form of the goddess, right? And then she takes on this glorious, immense form, and then they begin to give her their weapons, right? So Shiva gives her trident, and Vishnu gives her club and disc, and Brahma gives her her that will sound, her kamandalu, and like this, right? And Indra gives her lightning bolt and her elephant, and somebody gives her lion and decorations and crowns and swords and like that. And then from that, she enters the battlefield, right? Very glorious description, right? And that's been given many ways of understanding. So a simple way of understanding the story is that from the energy of all the gods came the goddess. So they made her. Right, but that's not the normal way. That, at least in the Shakti tradition, that's not how it's accepted. Where did that energy of all the gods come from? Right, she is the energy of all the gods. Right, in a moment of crisis, in an emergency, right, and prompted by the Mahadevas of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Right, so the energy coming out and creating the goddess. Say, in ancient times, the energy of the gods came out and created a goddess. That's our belief, right? That's a religiously held belief of the Puranas, right? But whatever that may or may not be, as Guruji says, maybe not be, as the way our Guruji speaks, right? We can see it as a very powerful. It's a realization that they lost their position, right? A little ego took over, and they lost control. Some low, embarrassing, low quality thing reduced them to like common begging. They're gods, and now they're begging, which happens when very often Mahisha takes over. We become beggars instead of masters, right? We're gods, and now we become beggars. And then the end of Shakti coming out and their weapon, them giving the weapons, is their realization. Our Shakti is her. She's the essence of everything. Whether we believe she was created out of the energy of the gods, but this is also can be taken as a symbolic of the realization of she's our essence. And when that happened, then she fought, and very quickly, and there's some drama. She kills various demons that come to attack, and then finally she kills after a great struggle on Mahisha's side, not really on her side. She kills Mahisha, and that's that. Mahisha's the buffalo demon. She kills him. We worship that form that we'll invoke here in a few days. She'll arrive on the 6th. Be here for a few days. And so she's destroyed. And so then before she goes, she says to the gods, ask a boon of me. Right? I'm pleased with you. Right? Even after you ask a boon of me. And they say very beautifully, he says, our problem has been solved. Our problem is Mahisha took over. Right? And you've killed Mahisha, so we have no more boon to ask. But if you have to give us a boon, right? And God always gives a boon when He leaves, right? Ask a boon or a curse, one of the two, or a helicopter. Mahisha's spying on us now. So ask a boon. He says, so if there is a boon to be given, our prayer is that when anybody in the future remembers you with these verses. Actually, they give I skip when she appeared and she killed. Then they did a beautiful set of hymns. They prayed to her called the Chakradi Stuti. Very beautiful and very beautiful meter. It means in the hymns of Indra and the other gods, headed by Indra, Chakra Adi, right? And at the end, she said, "I'm very pleased with your prayers. Ask a boon." So, in the future, if anybody remembers you with these prayers, immediately come and help them. And if we also have some problem, when we remember you, with these hymns or hymns like it, then you come and save us. That's it is tadastu, let it be so. That's a very big statement, right? If the text is correct, if that boon is still in effect, when there's problem, if we remember the Divine Mother, and who is it? The one who is their energy, their Shakti, right? In other words, we have to remember that she's the Shakti of everything. That memory invokes her. You can chant the hymns, right? That helps to invoke her. We've had a lot of helicopter activity as of late. Anyways, it'll be all right. We're always a little scared if there's a fire or something. So this is where that happened in chapter 4. So then what happens? So once again, another prayer, another demon awakens. Years later, maybe a million years later. For us, it may be, Mahisha. We got rid of Mahisha yesterday, and a new demon comes up. It's like, hopefully it's not Mahisha again, but sometimes it's Mahisha again. But this time it's a little more subtle. The demon that is called Shumba and Nishumba. And Nishumba, to get a little bit academic, Nishumba is not mentioned in any Vedic text. He makes the first appearance in the quote-unquote standardized Hindu text in this verse, right? But doesn't mean that they didn't exist, right? These are probably in the oral tradition of the almost the Adivasi, the tribal Aboriginal traditions of India. Shumba and Nishumba are probably known. Scholars seem to think, right? They make their first introduction in written text in the Chandi. And then later their stories are told elaborately in Devi Bhagavatam and other Devi Puranas. But this is very important. They first appear here, and they're not fully fleshed out. But by meditating on their names, we get a little hint, and the yogis and scholars have given us a little hint of what they mean. So Shumba is usually interpreted to be like pride and self-importance. I mean, I can't say ego is too general of a term, right? But it's just that self-indulgent importance. I don't know how else to. You all know we all have it, so we all know what it means. When we feel, we know it when we see it. Right? And it says that Shumba is the king, and Nishumba is his brother, who's just like him. He says as dear as his own soul. They're actually the same person. They're never apart. When one eventually gets killed, the other one dies almost instantly. The other one falls down. Right, and so Nishumba, Ni, in Sanskrit is a negation, right? So Shumba is this, I am very important. Look at me, right? I'm this Lord of everything. I'm the enjoyer. I'm the most beautiful. I'm the most powerful. Everybody look at me. Think of me. Obey me. Love me. Be loved by me. This type of attitude, right? So Nishumba is the opposite of that, which means, oh my God, I'm nothing. I'm not worth anything. Right, I'm lacking everything. That's why nobody loves me. I'm not worthy to be loved. It's that broken quality that wants to be. So, as some have said, in front of a big front is a big back. Right, so in front of a big ego, usually there's a hurt little boy or girl behind it. Right, so that these two are so it becomes self-importance, and sometimes defined as like self-loathing or incompleteness. That animates it. So it's interesting if we take it psychologically, whether or not the story is originally meant psychologically. This is how yogis take this story, and how we've interpreted it over many years. So Shumba is taken over. So this is a big problem. He again, what does he do? He quickly takes over heaven, takes over hell, takes over the demons. He has to fight, and he wins. Right? He gets some boons and he wins, and then he takes over humankind. We're easy target. We're easy prey, right? We always say all I have to do is insult somebody, and all these things come up. It doesn't take much to get our Shumba and Nishumba activated, right? So they took over that, and then they attacked heaven, and they won. And it says here, it describes that and the gods were thrown out of heaven once again, right? And they were wandering around penniless, right? None of the offerings were going to Shumba and Nishumba anymore. When we go Om Agnaye Swaha, it goes into Shumba Nishumba's mouth. Right, nothing goes, everything, and you can see we also come to that state when our ego is fully in full throttle. Everything, we take everything, even if it's not meant for us. This is the nature, right, and so the gods, bereft of their property, bereft of their of a place to live, they become wandering. So they go into the Himalayas, right, and they remember last time before they go crying to Vishnu and they go crying to Shiva, help us, help us, help us, and then they had that realization. This time they do something different. This is a very important movement, and also hopefully this time we'll do something different. That's if we give it a deeper meaning, a personal meaning, right? Hopefully we won't do the same thing. So what did they do different? They remembered last time, millions of years ago, or yesterday afternoon, right? She gave us a boon, right? That boon was if we remember her, or with these prayers, or remember her, or what did they remember? That she's their Shakti, that she's everything, right? Then she'll come and solve our problems, right? So that remembrance is itself, that's a big point actually. So it means forgetting her is a cause of our problems. So if we take this boon as a life definition, what our problem is, when we forget her, we have trouble. We remember her, problem goes away. Now, what does it mean to remember her? Because you can say, "Oh, I remember." It's like sometimes people remembering God's a big problem. It's not always. That's not always. That's the answer to our problems. What does it mean to remember her? It's according to this story, according to this hymn. So we get some hymn. So this time, instead of help us, help us, help us, or running around, Vishnu help me, Shiva help me, Brahma help me, Indra, what are you going to do? Hide and like this. They go into a quiet place, into the Himalayas, and they start Ya Devi Sarva-Bhuteshu. Right? They start these beautiful prayers. Right? What are those prayers? Oh, that goddess who exists everywhere and in everything and in everyone. Right? Namastasye, 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 namo. I bow to you, I bow to you, I bow to you again and again. Right? It's a very different type of prayer. Right? It's a prayer. It says it's a prayer of remembrance, because we actually know. Not everybody remembers, but we actually do remember. If you think about it, if you ask any devotee, once they get past a lot of stuff, he's like, "But what's the problem?" You say, "Oh, everybody, all of us will say our problem is we don't remember the one who's everything, who's everywhere. We forget her. We don't see her, right?" And so this is the scene we find ourselves in. So we'll talk. This is probably the most recognizable hymn. It's like a litany because it repeats itself almost, I think, 21, 25 times, something like that. And all but three or four are almost identical except for one word. So it's an easy hymn to recite. And each of the stories starts with a mantra, a bij mantra, right? First one, it says Om Aim, and then Rishu Vacha or Devu Vacha. Then the text starts. The second one is Om Hrim, and this was Om Klim, how it starts. And these are the energies. So Klim here means Ananda, bliss, right? It's the bij mantra of Ananda. So this is actually, if we follow from Aim to Hrim to Shim, from Saraswati to Lakshmi to Kali, right? Or Kali and Krishna, the other side of the inner side of Kali, right? So this is a revelation. This revelation is not like a big struggle for existence or a struggle for awareness. The first one is a struggle for awareness, as Vishnu has to wake up. The second is a struggle for existence itself, which is Lakshmi Narayan. It is given in some interpretation. This is a struggle for remembrance, right? Like remembrance means bliss. Right, if we remember, because God is Satchitananda, right? So we're also Satchitananda, right? The problem is we struggle with Sat and we struggle with Chit, but as a result we don't remember Ananda. This is overly simplified, but you know what I mean. If I say it too many times, it falls apart. But you know what I mean. So let's see what I have here. Chapter 5. And some month ago or so, we gave a class from the Devi Bhagavatam on this first Namo Devi Maha Devi Shiva Sadhana. We gave a kind of elaborate, a very long class just on these one verse. And it also starts with these verses. It's in the Devi Upanishad, Shakti Upanishad. It's in the Devi Bhagavatam, the Devi Gita, and in the Chandi. Very important verse. It kind of starts with this. I'll read the opening verses first. Om Klim, Urishu Uvacha. Long ago, grown arrogant with power, the Asuras, Shumba and Nishumba, seize Indra's sovereignty over the three worlds and his share of the sacrifices. In like manner, they usurped the authority of the sun and the moon, that of Kubera, Yama, and Varuna, the lords of wealth, death, and the ocean. They seized the wind god's power and Agni's functions. The gods were defeated, disposed, and driven out. stripped of their power, and cast out by these two great asuras. All the gods remembered that invincible Devi. This invincible is Aparajita, right? The one who can never be conquered. So the fact is, if we've been conquered, is because she's not here. If she's here, and nothing can stand before her. We've joked about this. We have a devotee that close to our temple, and we hadn't seen him in many years. He says, "What happened?" He says, "Oh, I'm fighting with Ma." Right? Sometimes we struggle. We all struggle. So she hasn't been coming because he's fighting over it. He had a reason, right? And I was joking. He says, "You've read all the stories, right? Has anybody ever won Ma when you fight with her? You should surrender now." Right? Fighting with nobody's ever won a fight with Ma, a fight with Krishna, a fight with Vishnu. If you fight God, you're going to lose. Especially Aparajita, she's ever victorious, undefeatable, right? So so it's called the Aparajita Stuti, the hymn to Aparajita Devi, one of Devi's great names. She granted us a boon, saying, "Whenever you remember me in times of distress, that very moment I will put an end to all your worst calamities." So this is a message for Ananda and Rampriya and Shakti, for all of us. She's granting a boon to us. With that in mind, the gods went to the Himalayas, the lord of the mountains, and praised that Devi, who is Vishnu Maya. So this is one of the names, the second time it appears here, Vishnu Maya. So it's the power of Vishnu. That's an interesting name. That's a Vedic name for the Devi. But anyway, we'll explain what that is as we go along. Devu Vacha. So this is a few of these mantras we've discussed already in the past talks. We won't go too much into. Namo Devye, Mahadevye, Shivaye, Satatam Namaha, Namapakrite, Bhadraye, Niyataha, Pranata, Smatam. And it says in the Puranas that by this one mantra, all of Devi's worship can be done. It's considered complete, and we discussed it. Namo Devye, Mahadevye, Shiva. This actually means she who is who is Brahma, who is Vishnu, who is Shiva. Right? In other words, she who is the creator, the sustainer, and the destroyer. And then Pakriti and Bhadra, she who is nature. Here, Pakriti and Bhadra means literally, in the esoteric meaning, she who covers and she who uncovers. And these are considered we've discussed the 5 qualities of Ishvara. Ishvara has 5 powers: creation, sustenance, destruction, covering, and revealing. Revealing is called grace. Right, and covering is called Maya, right? Or Sri Ramakrishna's language, Vijamaya, Avijamaya, right? Creation, sustenance, destruction, Vijamaya, Avijamaya, or grace, and covering. So this is the 5. So this one mantra describes all that. We won't go into it. Raudraye namo nityaye, Gauriya Datri namo namaha, Joshnaye chindarupanye, Sukhaye sritam namaha. So you are fearsome, right? You are. So you are. We've discussed in our Kali Sahasranama class, this Raudra and Gaura, these fierce forms, are taken as a world. This is Pakriti. This is a world of change, of time, of death, and birth and death of time, space, and causation. Maya, Raudra, and you are Nityaye. You are also the unchanging, the eternal, the one behind everything. Gauriye, you are white, light. Datre namo namaha. You are the support of this entire universe. Jishnaye chindarupanye sukhaye tridam namaha. You are the moon, you are moonlight and happiness itself. We bow to you. We discussed this last few weeks ago. Kalyani pranata vrijye siddhye kurmo namo namaha. Narityaye bhudritam lakshme sarvanye tinamo namaha. You are Kalyani. You are the one who gives welfare. You are prosperity. You are perfection. You are success. We bow to you again and again. O consort of Shiva, or that's a proper thing. You are the good and misfortune of kings. We bow to you again and again. So this is the beginning of the realization. If you are everything, which is how to remember her, then this is our instruction, how to remember her. You are the good. You are the bad, you are the changing, you are the eternal. It's a very big thing, right? Right? You are the one that puts us in illusion, you're the one that takes us out of illusion. Right? And you are the one, even not just us, even Indra, not just any king. Indra is praying, right? So it's not just we have a little bit of control over something, right? But almost nothing. We're not like a king or a president or a governor or something, but to speak of the king of the gods or the king of the demons or something. You are the fortune and misfortune of kings. So you are our misfortune and misfortune. This is the beginning. This is what it means. If one remembers you, I remove your problems. So the first thing you think, you are our problems. If you're having a major problem and you realize, oh, that's Ma. What happens to your problem? It becomes Ma. It's no longer a problem. So it's immediately, this is the psychology of pulling apart your problem immediately. Durgaye, Durgaparaye, Saraye, Sarvakarinye. Oh, Mother Durga. Durga means she who is difficult, right? She who is difficult to attain. She who is difficulty. Durga. Durga Paraye, who takes us across difficulty, right? These are all giving clues of the whole thing. So they're praying very specifically, right? This is their Saraye Sarvakarinye. You are the essence of everything. And Sarvakara. Kata means work. You are the essence and the energy and the doer of all work. You are everything. You're the essence of everything, and you're doing everything. If we had this problem, you can see these are big realizations. If we had these realizations, the problem is gone. Katyaye, Tataye, Krishnaye, Dharmaye, Siddham Namaha. You are discrimination, and you are black like a storm cloud. So discrimination, buddhi, gives us intelligence and light. And this black of the storm cloud is, you are our ignorance also, to give that interpretation. You are the color of smoke, of blindness, ignorance. We bow to you again and again. Ati somyati raudraye nata tasye namo namaha namo jagat pratistaye devi kritye namo namaha. You are at once most gentle and most terrible. That's good. These are big things. We bow to you again and again. We bow to you, the support of the world. Jagat Pratistaye, O Goddess Mother, who exists as volition, kritye, or action, or movement. We bow to you again and again. This is the introduction to the main litany, right? Ya Devi Sarva-Bhuteshu Vishnu Mayati Shabdita. That Ya Devi means that goddess. So it's a way of, we would say, O goddess. Right, but these are like statements of truth, right? That goddess, right? Sarva-Bhuteshu, Sarva-Bhuteshu. Sarva means all, right? And Bhuta or Bhuteshu means all beings. Bhuta also means all elements, right? The 5 elements. So this whole world is made of the Bhutas, and we are also all Bhutas. We're all beings. Right, so by saying Sarva-Bhuteshu means the one who exists, Ya Devi, in all beings, in all elements, in all things, in all situations. And the above list is the good, the bad, the ugly, the beautiful, the intelligence and ignorance, everything. She exists. Ya Devi Sarva Vishnu Mayati. You are that indescribable power pervading all things. You are the Lord's own Maya, the power of Vishnu. Right. So the power of the inscrutable power pervading all things. Mayati, Vishnu Mayati Sabdita, who exists everywhere. Then it says Namastasye, 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 Namo Namaha. So that goddess who exists in all beings, we bow again and again and again. Who are you? You are that mysterious power of Vishnu that pervades everything. So the next question is, what is power of Vishnu, and what is it that pervades everything? We know she is the power of Vishnu, pervades everything. What are those things? So what is the power of Vishnu? It's very hard to describe the power, something that belongs to God. God is existence, right? Consciousness and bliss. What are his powers? What are his qualities, right? So we start. One thing you could say is what's his symptom, right? So the yogis, the sages, they say that God is indescribable. Yet how do you know? What do we know? So we could say his symptom is that of consciousness or awareness, the ground of being, right? And so to say, and that's the power of Vishnu. Oh, you who are the power of Vishnu, right? Or Vishnu. So, and she also put Vishnu into Maya, put him to sleep by withdrawing his consciousness and awakened his consciousness, right? So it's hinting that you are consciousness, right? And what pervades all things? Does consciousness pervade all things? That's if we're talking consciousness, how does consciousness pervade all things? Well, we're all conscious, we think, kind of, some level of consciousness, right? That's one thing. But it's more than that, of course, is what's the substratum of everything? right? The fact, even one thing, everything exists within consciousness. That's one way we can think of it, right? All of you, whether you exist independent of my consciousness, I have no evidence. You exist because of my consciousness. It says that shining, all things shine. I'm aware of your existence, whether it exists or not. I'm only conscious because of my consciousness, right? That's one thing, right? But also we can see if that's true of me. You also can say the same. You also say the same thing, right? So there's conscious. So, but how do you recognize consciousness? Because we can say, oh, I'm conscious of something. That's the big thing, but you exist in all beings and all these. It's going to start listing all these different forms, all these some Shakti that belongs to Vishnu, some power of Vishnu that exists everywhere, right? So the next, Ya Devi Sarva-Bhuteshu, Chaitane Dhyate. My tongue is not working. Known as consciousness, Chaitan, right? And so Chaitan means consciousness. Chaitan also could mean like awareness. Chaitan means thinking. So it's kind of an evidence, right? So, and then the Namastasye Namo Namah. Then the true litany will start. Ya Devi Sarva-Bhuteshu, Bruri Rupena Samstita, Ya Devi Sarva-Bhuteshu, Nidra Rupena Samstita, who exists, Samstita, in all, who exists, is established in all these forms. And every time I read these, I remember our Guruji, Swami Bhajanananda, who's existing here in his Murti form. He had a unique language based upon his own. He said no bookish knowledge. He didn't study books, right? He had from his own direct realization. So he had his own way of describing God, right? So his favorite way of describing God is that unseen power, right? That was his unseen power, right? We have many seen power, but there's something behind, like, and he gives the example. Can you turn on these outside lights? Since it's perfect, watch. Right now there's electricity everywhere, but all of a sudden, there it is. So some electricity in this light, in the light bulb, becomes light, right? That same electricity in the water heater becomes hot water. In the refrigerator makes coolness, or in the air conditioner becomes cool. In the heater it becomes hot. In a vehicle it turns wheels. In a radio it creates sound, right? So the electricity we don't see, but its effects we see. So the thing is, how do we see? It's hard to see consciousness because consciousness is a seer and never a seen. That's the big theme we've been talking about as of late. The seer and the seen are, consciousness is never an object, but it is it becomes. We can notice it. We can't see electricity, but you can. You can see light. You can't feel electricity, but you can feel heat. It appears in all these different forms. So as they're trying to remember it, like, oh, you're the awareness, you're consciousness, you're everywhere. How? Right? As everything. So they start listing all these different permutations, changes, effects of consciousness, right? Symptoms of consciousness. And maybe we can, some people know these verses, but the main part everybody knows, Ya Devi Sarva-Bhuteshu. We'll chant the section. Ya Devi Sarva-Bhuteshu Budri Rupena Samsrita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha. Ya Devi Sarva-Bhuteshu Nidra Rupena Samsrita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha. Ya Devi Sarva-Bhuteshu Kshuddha Rupena Samsrita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha. Ya Devi Sarva-Bhuteshu Chaya Rupena Samsrita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha. Ya Devi Sarva-Bhuteshu Shakti Rupena Samsrita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha. Ya Devi Sarva-Bhuteshu Trishna Rupena Samsrita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha. Ya Devi Sarva-Bhuteshu Kshanti Rupena Samsrita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha. Ya Devi Sarva-Bhuteshu Jati Rupena Samsrita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha. Ya Devi Sarva-Bhuteshu Lajja Rupena Samsrita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha. Ya Devi Sarva-Bhuteshu Shanti Rupena Samsrita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha. Ya Devi Sarva-Bhuteshu Shraddha Rupena Samsrita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha. Ya Devi Sarva-Bhuteshu Kanti Rupena Samsrita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha. Ya Devi Sarva-Bhuteshu Lakshmi Rupena Samsrita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha. Ya Devi Sarva-Bhuteshu Vritti Rupena Samsthita Namastasye Namastasye Namo Namaha Ya Devi Sarva-Bhuteshu Smriti Rupena Samsthita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha Ya Devi Sarva-Bhuteshu Daya Rupena Samsthita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha Ya Devi Sarva-Bhuteshu Tushti Rupena Samsthita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha Ya Devi Sarva-Bhuteshu Matri Rupena Samsthita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha Ya Devi Sarva-Bhuteshu Bhranti Rupena Samsthita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha. There's two more verses, but they change a little bit. We'll go back to them just now. So these are different. You can say one way to understand them is different aspects of different manifestations of consciousness, and so we feel them, we see them in other people. We feel they're evidence of a living being, and they're evidence of that means they're evidence of and everything in nature has these. There's almost nothing that doesn't. So we'll go. We could give a long class on each one of these words, and many commentaries and have been written, but we'll just get in a general way. So first is buddhi rupena samsita, in the form of intelligence, right? Then nidra rupen, in the form of sleep. So in a certain sense, buddhi and nidra are seen as almost opposites, right? And that, of course, everything has to fall asleep. Even the goddess falls asleep. Even Vishnu falls asleep, right? Nature itself falls asleep. So this is not a judgment. But when you see something falling asleep, oh my God, it's such a bad person fell asleep. That's proof of the Devi's existence. She's also sleep. She's intelligence, she's forgetfulness. She's wakefulness, she's sleepiness or sleep. Shudha rupena samsita. Shudha here means hunger, right? And you can go what does hunger means from a lack of something. You can go deeper, but this is one evidence. Shudha chaya. Chaya means in the form of shadow. Jaima shadow. So here it means appearance. Yeah, so it means something that appears. Let's take it like that. Appearance. Chaya rupena samsita. Shakti rupena samsita. This is the main one. A form of energy. Every time you see Shakti, right? And Shakti appears. All these are names of Shakti, but Shakti means any energy, any power, any strength, any valor, any movement, any vibration. That's Shakti. Shakti rupena samsita. Trishna rupena samsita. Trishna, just like thirst, just like hunger, means thirst, right? So thirst, Trishna. Shanti means that of forgiveness. Jati means existence. It means birth. It means many things. Here it really means existence or birth, or getting a body or a family or a lineage, the way of how we're born and organized, and species and families and castes and all that. That's called jati. Jati rupena samsita. Laja rupena samsita, in the form of humility. Shanti rupa, in the form of peacefulness. We like this one. Shraddha means faith. Faith. Kanti rupa samsita. Kanti means modesty. Like Laja, slightly different. And actually, Shraddha, Laja, and Kanti appear in all four hymns. These are qualities. And you see the great goddess, who's a warrior goddess, right? Who's screaming, howling with jackals, drinking demon's blood out of her skull cup, naked, shouting, wild hair. Whenever people pray to her, you are modesty, you are humility, you are gentleness, you are beauty, right? Because even within that fierce form, the feminine qualities are all there. Shararupa Kanti Lakshmi Rupan, in the form of course, means goddess Lakshmi, but Lakshmi means we get the word luck from it, right? Auspiciousness or success, happiness, money, prosperity, like this. What did I put? Auspiciousness, that's good enough. Right, Lakshmi. Vritti means all movement. Anything you see moving, this is proof. Like the light's proof of electricity. Anything moving, vibrating is proof of and even the movement in the mind is proof of consciousness. If there is no consciousness, the mind would not move. Smriti rupena, in the form of remembrance. So this is what they're trying to do. They're trying to, if you remember her, you end all problems. Riti rupena samsita. Daya rupena, in the form of compassion. And sometimes we think, oh, this is, we were talking about this a few weeks ago in class, that like, oh, the goddess is compassionate, right? But the problem, this is, in the world of duality, we only can think like this. But there's no duality, actually, right? And so even all these things, daya, sviti, tushta, smit, all these things are actually describing one thing, not many things. They're describing one quality, not many qualities. When we separate it, okay, we can say an aspect of that one thing we call daya, another aspect we call smriti or laja, right? But then who does she have compassion on? There's no second being, if we take this from a non-dualistic perspective, right? So she is compassion. She is thirst. She's not thirsty, right? She's not hungry. She's hunger, right? So she's in other words, everything we see is not, these are her, oh my God, Ma's angry at us. Ma's anger, right? Anger is her manifestation. She's not angry. Ma's loving. She's love. Right, and the thing is, it's like when we see her aspect of anger, and in the world duality, oh my God, I'm angry, she's angry, rather than the thing itself. She's the thing itself, right? She's anger, she's hunger, she's thirst, right? She's compassion, she's So it's an interesting thing. It's just in the world we cannot help but make some subject-objecty thing out of it, like this. Daya rupana and tushti rupana samsita. Tushti means in the form of satisfaction. She becomes satisfied. She's satisfaction, right? And then matri rupana. The most popular one is matri rupana samsita, in the form of the mother. Of course, we all have our mother. She's a mother, but mother has many meanings also. Mother means the source, right? The source of everything is we call mother, the mother of existence. And then the most unpopular one. So after all these other glorious things, right? Shakti and hunger, and those are good enough. Ice cream fixes most things. Most of these can be cleared by ice cream, right? She's also ice creaming, right? Right. But matri, and then it says Bhranti, right? Bhranti is very, very. Wow, what a horrible way to end the whole thing, right? Means error, mistake, right? Or illusion or confusion. All these come like that. But this is the point, right? The problem is they forgot. They made a mistake. They didn't see her when they were seeing her. This whole Shumba, Nish, everything came, all the problem. They lost heaven. They're thrown out of heaven. They're embarrassed, walking around. They lost everything. And they got confused. But as soon as they see, you are Bhranti also. You are this also. Immediately, she disappears. It disappears and she appears, right? So the Shankaracharya gives this example of seeing a wave in the ocean, right? You say, oh my God, there's so many waves. How do we get rid of the waves? How do you get? Look at the water. As soon as you see the water, what happens? The wave is nothing but water, right? But as soon as you see, seeing wave, wave means a movement of water. Durga. A wave is, we know intellectually, wave is nothing but water. We say, oh my God, look at those big waves. Right now, the waves are very big, right? You want big waves, right? Wow, big waves, right? You don't say, oh my God, look at that water, right? You say, oh my God, look at those waves, right? And we know waves are nothing but water, right? But if we notice, we see the water, the wave disappears, right? So you see Ma, the problem disappears. You see Ma, the demons disappear, right? This is given symbolically. We have a big fight because sometimes it's not instantaneous, but it is instantaneous. This whole battle, it may take 3 hours to recite the Chandi, but it can happen in a second. Demons come up, demons are destroyed in a second, right? From remembrance to forgetfulness, right? So if people come to the great line, he says, how long does it take to become free? Instantly, right? First you're bound, now you're free. How long does it take? Like that. He says, imagine a room full of darkness, and you turn on the light. The darkness go, instantly it can happen. Or the classic example, you see a rope coiled up, and you think, oh my God, it's a snake. He says, no, look at it, it's a rope. Oh, it's a rope. How long does it take? It may take a long time to convince you, no, I still think, no, it's a snake. Maybe it's a rope, I don't know. It looks a lot like a snake, I don't trust you, but maybe I trust you, you've been around it, maybe, But once you get it, the snake disappears. But then you're still like, wow, that rope looks like a snake. Right? You can still say that, right? That water looks like waves, right? Or that Ma looks like a problem. Right? That energy looks like electricity. That electricity looks like light. right? You see the one, that unseen power becomes seen. Once you see her, it's not, that's a problem. God is an unseen power, right? When it becomes a seen power, then it's not a problem anymore, right? We call that enlightenment, right? Or illumination, or something like that. Gyan, right? Realization, right? So then the final Indriyanam adishtatri bhutanam chakreshuya bhuteshu sritam tasye vyapta devi namo namaha. O Divine Mother, you preside over all the senses, you abide in all beings, and pervades all things. Right? You're controlling us. You abide everywhere, and you abide in everything, and you pervade everything. That's a big thing. And then it says namo namaha. Chitti rupena ya Krishna meta vyapta sita jagat namastasye 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 namo namaha. Now it's completely reaffirmed. You don't have to guess. O Divine Mother, you pervade the world and abide here. You pervade the world means there, that, and exist here in me, in us, right? In the form of chitti rupena, in the form of consciousness. Again, it's all about seeing that unseen energy. That is consciousness. It's unseen because it's a seer. It's very hard to see the seer. It's impossible to see the seer, right? Right. But the Yoga Sutta gives the thing. When the vrittis become calm, then the seer sees itself, rests in its own nature, right? That's the secret, right? In verse 2 and 3 of the Yoga Sutta, right? It's a very important thing. And let me find the final verses here. I said chapter 5, right? Chapter 5. Thank you. (103). Yes. Praised long ago by so this is, I don't have this in my original Sanskrit, but praised long ago by the gods for fulfilling their desire, and likewise honored daily by the Lord of the gods. May Ishwari, the source of all good, create happiness and prosperity for us, and may she destroy our misfortune. It changes meter. I don't have that original meter. You can maybe. Sorry, oh, there's a carpet back there. Sorry, it's not so. We have a very small, intimate space here. Tormented by arrogant detas. This is all of us. I'm tormented by arrogant detas, or demons, right? We gods now honor her, the supreme power. We remember that unseen power, the supreme power behind everything. With body bowed down in devotion, at this moment we remember her who destroys all afflictions. At this moment, remember who destroys. It means at this moment, afflictions are destroyed. It's the same thing, right? Remembering her is the cure. Forgetting her means affliction. Forgetting affliction, but that doesn't mean afflictions don't come, because the waves still come. If you see the water, you still get knocked over. You can still trip, even if you don't know. Even if you know the rope is not a snake, you can still trip on it. It's still a rope's still complicated. Seeing everything as Ma doesn't make problems go away, but it does make problems go away, right? You see, then it becomes a lila. It becomes a completely different thing. It becomes a play of realization and deeper understanding and introspection and higher realizations. It's a very different thing. Right. Rishuvācha, the seer, said, O king, while the gods were thus engaged in praise and adoration, Parvati came to bathe in the waters of the Ganga. This is, I don't have these in Sanskrit, but this is my favorite little theme. What time is it now?
6:05.
Okay, I'm good. I thought I didn't prepare this section because I didn't think we'd get to it, but it's good. O king, while the gods were engaged, the Parvati came to bathe in the water. Remember, they're in the Himalayas. Right, so this has deep meaning. They're on the top of the Himalayas, which means, if we give a yogic meaning, this means top of the head and type of stuff. And Parvati is the goddess, the daughter of the Himalayas. Parvat.
Page 291.
104.
If you go to page 291.
Oh, the Sanskrit. Oh, thank you. What is it? Thank you. Oh, that's 291. Thank you. Thank you. If I need the Sanskrit, I'll look there. So Parvati is the daughter of the Parvat, the mountain, right? The name of the Himalayas, right? So they're on the Himalayas praying to her. So she appears, but she says she comes while they're all going Devi Sarva-Bhuteshu, like this. She goes and she goes to the Himalayas and she take her bath, right? She who is a fair countenance asks the gods while she's very nonchalant type of thing, right? This is one of my favorite lines. Who are you praying to? Who are you praising? You see, like you got Ya Devi Sarva-Bhuteshu. Who are you praying to? Right? He says, from her own body, an auspicious form emerged and gave the answer. Right? So out of Parvati came another form. Right? So this is into Parvati. If we take it yogically, which is how we're trying to be yogis, so we tend to interpret things yogically. What is it? So Parvati means the body, means this mountain, this earth. Right? From the earth, from the body, something comes out and gives the answer. In a certain sense, we're all also asking, even the question, even the ability to ask, who are we praying to? Who is this God we keep being told to pray to, right? We're supposed to believe in or think about, right? Even that's her. Vritti rupena, branti rupena, matri rupena, that buddhi rupena. Even that is her. That's even our questioning is her. If we question, she herself answers. When we say buddhi rupena, buddhi asks questions. Ya Devi Sarva-Bhuteshu, you are, who's the answer? Buddhi, it's from within buddhi itself the answer will come. Within Branti, the answer will come. Right? And that answer, something interesting happens, right? And so she says, this hymn is an appeal to me. That means Ya Devi Sarva-Bhuteshu, Chaita Rupa. So the consciousness itself, the hidden, the unseen power, our Guruji's unseen power, right? Herself gives the answer. This is a statement of realization. It's me. Right? This hymn is addressed to me, by those whom the demons Shumba has cast out, by the assembled gods whom Nishumba defeated in battle. Right? It is me who you all are calling to after being humiliated and thrown out of heaven by Shumba and Nishumba, by two little pathetic brothers who come up like this. Right? And since Ambika, another popular name of the mother, means mother, right? Of the goddess, one of the third most popular name in the Chandi, I think. Second or third. Because Ambika came forth from Parvati's body, right? She is glorified in all the world as Kaushiki. Kaushiki means she who comes out of a sheath. Kosha means sheath or body or covering, right? And sometimes we can think of it as like a sword out of a sheath, that type of thing, right? So she who comes out, or comes out of a covering, which is our covering. So the yogis have interpreted. It's not so hard to interpret it this way. The image is too dramatic, right? She comes out. It's the awakening of Kundalini. So even the real, we don't have to do something to awaken Kundalini. We can do stuff. We can try to do stuff to awaken Kundalini, but it's potentially dangerous. Even seeing her is the awakening of Kundalini. Realizing her is the Kundalini. So Holy Mother said, well, how do you awaken Kundalini? Just chant japa and pray to her with love and devotion. As you realize her, if your love increases and you start thinking of her and seeing her, that itself means Kundalini. It doesn't have to be as dramatic as jumping and like that. That's usually the sign of improper practice anyway. Too much jumping like this, right? Your realization is energetically described as the awakening of Kundalini, psychologically described as realization. Right, same thing. So she came out of the sheath. That from Parvati, from the body, comes the energy that's within the body, that's within everything, within Ya Devi Sarva-Bhuteshu, within all beings and all elements. She's the one unseen power. When we see her, that's a very big thing. Right? You're praying to me. You're that Devi that you keep saying Ya Devi, Ya Devi, Sa Devi, Ya Devi. Me Devi. What Devi? Me Devi, right? Sorry, a little corny, but what can I do? I'm not good at corny stuff. I try to pull it off. Thereupon, Parvati became black, right? Thus, she is known as Kalika, right? So from Parvati comes this glorious form, and then she becomes black. It says she became black out of anger, right? Because of those demons that have to be taken care of, right? And actually Parvati, there's a text called, she used, not all the time, there's a text called Kalika Purana, a very important text on Kali. But we say Kalika Purana, but it's not actually a text on Kali appears, but it's not a text on as Kali with a sword. It's mostly the stories of Parvati and Shiva. And Parvati's name is Kali because Parvati is dark, right? She's dark complexion. And one thing, there's a whole story in the Kalika where he gets a little, Shiva, she thinks, but she gets a little confused. She thinks Shiva may have looked at some lighter skinned girl and thinking, oh, it's like this, and she gets upset like this. So then she performed thousands of years of austerities and took a bath and comes out light skinned, gory, Kali became Gauri. So that's Kali is not always Kali Kali like inside. Sometimes it's a name for Parvati herself. But here it does mean also, it means that Parvati's nature is dark. She's dark skinned and then becomes light skinned through a transformation of tapasya. But she's also goddess Kali because she appears in this fierce form of Kali, Kalika. Thereupon Parvati became black, thus known as Kalika. She makes her abode in the Himalayas. So where does she lives? And of course, they're in the Himalayas. She appeared as a daughter of the Himalayas. I mean, she's born from the mountain, right? If we take it the Himalayan be the body, she's born from the body, and she makes her abode on the body, in the body. That's a big thing that when Ma's awakened, you see her, she's running. Her abode's always his body, but now we see the unseen power becomes seen, right? And yogically also on the Himalayas could be the top of the head. This is where Ma dances on top of Shiva. There's given symbolic meaning like that too, right? Then Chanda and Munda, the two servants of Shumba and Nishumba, beheld Ambika's captivating beauty. So then it goes, the story, we'll summarize the story here. Then when they saw this glorious Kundalini awakening, this goddess, Shumba and Nishumba had two attendants. What did I just say what their name was? Chanda and Munda, right? Chanda and Munda. Right, Chanda and Munda. I think that's right. Is that what it says?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I don't want to mess it up. Chanda and Munda, and Chanda and Munda, they go this, oh, she's beautiful. Wow, look how powerful she is. That's the power, even when we see that unseen power, if we're not refined, or parts of us that aren't refined, what do we think about it? Oh, we should own that. We should control that. We immediately, the ego possesses, I and mine. Immediately says mine, right? And anything divine in mine. Even and it is ours, our own energy, our own Shakti, but it's not ours, right? It's the so we could mine, right? And it's actually our master Shumba and Nishumba. They should marry her immediately, right? So then they go to Shumba and Nishumba. Oh, there's a beautiful girl sitting there in the Himalayas. We've never seen any girl like her. Trust me, none of you have ever seen a girl like her. Right? If you want to see, even just go next room, you'll see a girl like you've never seen anything like her before. She gets more beautiful every time, right? But we'd be very foolish to say, oh, then we should enjoy her and we should marry her and we should, that's a very dangerous position, right? And so she goes, and they go and tell Shumba and Nishumba, there's a beautiful girl, you should go immediately and get her, and either you or your brother, right? Because as you see, they're the same. Shumba and Nishumba, this ego and this lack, all come from they're the same knot, just two sides of the same knot, right? And so Shumba, anyways, the story goes, and they send a messenger, and there's a whole thing. I'm just going to summarize the story because we won't get a chance to speak to the end for the rest of Navaratri. It's an important story to think about, right? During Navaratri, this is one of the main stories. So, and when Shumba says, yes, you should marry me, right? And or my brother, my loving brother, who is dear to my life. So he tells some people, messenger, and Sugriva, I think, is a messenger, right? Mm-hmm. He takes Sugriva, go and tell her, right? Tell her and convince her with sweet words to marry me. And if she says no, then drag her by the hair and bring her here. This is the way you woo women, in case you're wondering. First, tell them all about your good qualities. If that doesn't work, force them. This is the demonic way of thinking. Of course, this is the demonic way of thinking in the world, but it's also our internal thing, because this energy, this consciousness, this subtle energy that's behind everything, that animates everything, including ourselves, how do we treat it? We have to be very careful. We can't manipulate it and force it and try to impress it, right? So they go and says, oh, beautiful Devi, oh Devi, whoever you are, you're very beautiful. And something that beautiful should definitely be possessed by Shumba and Nishumba, right? Says, look how many beautiful things they have, right? They stole Indra's horse and Indra's elephant, and they've the swans and chariot of Brahma are in their possession, right? All the treasures of the ocean are in their treasury, right? So this is very impressive. Look, I have so many. Look how rich I am. Look how beautiful I am. Look how many powerful, wonderful things I've got. I stole all of them, right? Right. Look how much I possess. You should also. I possess so many treasures. He's speaking in Sugriva, speaking in the voice of Shumba and Nishumba, speaking for them. Messenger, right? Says, I have so many treasures, and you're a treasure amongst women, so you should also come to me and be enjoyed by me. Marry me immediately. right? And so this girl who shows up and says, "Who's being praised by me?" You already know she has a bit of an attitude, right? Isn't that, And so she says, "No, she sounds very impressive." I'm summarizing a little bit. If I can summarize the Chandi, he sounds very powerful indeed, very handsome and powerful, right? And very impressive how he stole everything, right? And, this is very good qualities. And any girl would be lucky to have him, Not really, but this is but I've taken, in my youth, I take a very foolish vow, right? My vow was that I'd only marry that man who can conquer me in battle, right? This is the thing. Anybody who can defeat me in battle, because what's her name? Aparajita, the one that's indefeatable, unconquerable. So in other words, no man can marry her. Actually, one man has married her already. Right? Shiva is the only one who conquered her. So I've taken a vow that only I would marry a man. So if he wants, he can come and fight me. If he fights me, and if he wins, and he says, "Oh my, don't be so hot, you haughty girl. What are you doing?" Like, he uses these words, right? Imagine, right? He says, don't make me make you so dignified that I drag you by the hair to them. He says, "What to do? Give my message to your lords. Let them do what they want." And then he invokes out of a scene of with that Disney movie, that famous Fantasia, when he invokes all the demons. Remember that, he invokes all of his demons. Go get her, fight her, right? What is it? Dumra Lochana and all these. I mean, all very symbolic. Smoke eyes and these demons who like foul mouth and crooked mind and broken promises and ignorant consciousness. I mean, the names mean that, so it's not so hard to give it a symbolic meaning when the names mean translate as that. I like it. Like Duramuk is like filthy mouth. We all have these. You see, when we're challenged, all these qualities can come up immediately. Poof, bang! All these things with it. We can conjure up an army, an imaginary army of demons in seconds. Go get her, fight her, right? Destroy her, bring her to me somehow, whatever. You love her and hate her at the same time, right? Bring her to me, right? And so they all come, and she goes, "Whom," right? And poof, everything's ash. Right, that didn't go very good. So her sound actually, and also it describes her when she got up from her seat for battle. It's described that her crown her feet touched the earth, shook the earth, and her crown scraped the heavens. Right, very powerful thing. And then her bow shook the earth. Right, this is the symbol also of the fully awakened Kundalini. You can see it's that as it's coming to its own. Right, tremendous sound with that sound of whom called the Kurucha Bija. Everything reduced to his army, all these demons and armies reduced to ashes. Then she sends again Chanda and Munda, which represent yogically, and in the text itself describes lust and anger, all right, desire and anger, because lust and anger always go together. Remember, anger is thwarted lust. Anger, when a desire is not satisfied, we become angry, naturally, right? So, and then she, the story, she chops off their head, and that's why she comes holding two beautiful heads, and she becomes known as Chamunda. Chamunda e Viche. Viche means cut, right? It says, so she be known as the one who destroys. This is a big, if we want to kill Shumba and Nishumba, we have to go through lots of, it's not easy to get to the ego so directly. Or that, not ego, but that type of ego very directly. So many things, ignorance and lack of awareness, confusion, all these things have to be dealt with one by one. Right, or all by one, who knows, by like one sound. And then the big things, like our desires and frustrated desires and the anger and reactions that come from frustrated that have to be dealt with, have to be, and she says, I offer, she comes back, because at this point, Kali comes and Durga's come and Ambika, there's all these forms that have come, and they're all fighting with all these different, these different forms of Shakti fighting all these demons. And when she kills Chanda and Munda, Kali comes to Durga, another form, and says, "I bring you these as an animal sacrifice in battle, in the sacrifice of battle." Right. So this is very big. This is the battle we're really going to. This is a real battle, right? It's not just. The world's preparing for battles and battling right now, right? But that's not the real battle. And right now during Navaratri, a lot of animals are being sacrificed. This is not the real animal sacrifice. But the real battle and the real sacrifice is the battle against our selfish desire and the anger that comes when selfish desire is thwarted. Right? It's a very big. This is the core thing. It's manifested in all levels of reality, but this is the core story. And then finally, as we end the story, Shumba and Nishumba get into the action, and first Nishumba is destroyed, then Shumba is destroyed. But it's very interesting when the battle is very. When Shumba is destroyed, Nishumba is destroyed. Shumba is very quickly falls, right? Because when the whole ego comes up, propped up by this sense of lack, when that is, the two constantly going back and forth, and then what happens, as soon as that happens, is described one of my favorite scenes, one of my favorite lines. And we used to give our classes during Navaratri, over 10 days, we're giving all these classes, right, or 9 days, right? We do, our crowds got too big, that's our problem, we could have 1,000 people a night during the big havans and classes like that. So Ma has to accept japa and kirtan instead. But we do these fire ceremonies. Then we do the class, and at the end, when we give our class, the fire would still be burning, right? And it's at the last line. It says when Shumba and Nishumba were destroyed, right? The gods rained down flowers from heaven. You could feel it, at the end of 9 days of sadhana and puja, right? And it says, and the gods and the Gandharvas played on instruments, and the Gandharvas danced and sang, and the Apsaras sang, right? So, and the sacred fires were burning once again, and you could see that our fire would still be going. It's like but you could see that's the scene that actually happens when everything is restored, right? And then they pray the final prayer at the 11th chapter, is that Narayani Namostute, Narayani Namostute, that famous Narayani Stuti. And then like this. It's a very these three stories of Madhu Kaitaba, of Mahishasura, Shuma Nishuma, and his cohorts, in such a simple way, in just a few verses, really. They're not the stories aren't elaborately told; they're barely told. In other texts, they're elaborately told. They're told in thousands of verses. Devi Bhagavatam, each story takes 1,000 verses to tell what's told in 80 verses in the Chandi, right? Very elaborate. But you see, in just a and what happened actually is interesting. The Chandi is in Markandeya Purana, right? Markandeya Purana is not directly a Shakti Purana. It's not a Devi Purana, right? And there's a question. The sage made a statement about how Suvarni becomes Manu. Suvarni is a Manu. I'm not sure if he's our Manu or the previous Manu. Maybe he's our Manu now. Suvarni, right? So somebody asked, how did Suvarni become Manu? And then a very elaborate, all these stories are told, not even to say, who's Kali or who's Devi or how do we fall into Maya? How does Savarni become Manu? It's told as a by-the-way story. In a text, it's not about the goddess, right? But people notice there's something special in these little tiny. It's like a master writer in a few lines, a poet in a few lines can tell everything, right? And they realize there's a lot hidden in these. And then they also discovered, as they began to read it, that there's not only is the story good, there's power in these words, right? And the Puranas have no restriction. Anybody can chant Puranas. It's not like the Vedas or the Tantra that require initiations, or born of the Brahmin born of the male Brahmin that's trained for the Vedic mantras, or at least initiation by a guru in the Tantric mantras. Puranas anybody can read. People began to realize there's power in these words, right? But power again is dangerous. Right, it's like electricity. There's unseen, but if you touch it, it can be felt and danger if you don't know what you're doing, right? So, and people began to, just by chanting the mantras, they began to get power, right? And sometimes misuse that power, like a demon rather than the deva, right? Or hurt themselves with that power, burn themselves with that power. So then, Brahma, Vishishta, and Vishwamitra, Brahma and these two sages, they call it a curse, but they gave they put the power of the mantras with a key, right? It's called so there's a hymn we chant when we're reciting the Chandi. There's a verse that repeats like 25 times, may the curse of Brahma, Vishnu, and Vishwamitra be unlocked. Because we want to get the power, but we're careful, because we're, it's like we're trying to, we're licking our fingers and keep poking a plug. Come on, well, get it to work. We still have to know what we're doing. But why did they lock it, right? And then there's a kilakam, there's a pin, there's a key, there's a lock, there's all these things to cover it, because there's a lot of power Both it could be dangerous for ourselves and dangerous for others also. And so it says that there's for those who are initiated into the Chandi, there's a mantra called Navaratri mantra, 9-lettered mantra, Aim Him Klim Chamunde Viche. Right, that is said that one is initiated into that mantra by guru or like tradition like that. Then one has the authority, in a certain sense, to recite. Anybody can. We recite the Chandi. We should all recite the Chandi. It's very beautiful, right, and very powerful. We said Ya Devi Sarva-Bhuteshu, right? That's a very good. But we can say Ya Devi Sarva-Bhuteshu and not like, ruin our nervous system and get unlimited power to fight, to smite our enemies or something like that. That's not that we can't do that, right? But there's mantric power into the Chandi. So then it says, some attribute it to Adi Shankaracharya, some go further back and say it's Ravana himself, who was a great Devi Upasak, right? It's or who knows? It's not. There's no known, but this Mahishasura Mardini Stotram. We'll chant it just now, right? We chant it every night during Navaratri. It says that he put all the stories and philosophy of the Chandi into that in a simple, beautiful form, right? And it's more. But if you notice it, there's more into the sound than there is into the meaning. There's not much meaning. A word is repeated again and there's all, because what he's doing, whoever did it, whether it was Shankara or whoever did it, there's all these bij mantras hidden. There's not a single bij mantra spoken. It doesn't say Aim Him Klim Chamunde Viche Hum Kram. It doesn't say it like that. Not like that, right? But within it, there's Brahmara, some all these different sounds that it says that he put without any restriction, without any danger, the meaning and beauty of the Chandi, right, and the glory of the goddess who's being worshipped in the Chandi, as well as the mantric power of the Chandi, right, without any restriction and without any danger. Right, it's very beautiful hymn. So that's so we're not reciting the Chandi or telling the story of the Chandi every day, but we are reciting the Chandi and telling the story every day by reciting the Mahishasura Mardini Stotram. Jai Jai He Mahishasura Mardini Ramya Kapardini Shai Lasite. Are there any questions or comments? We'll end there. As it gets dark and colder, and as fall we definitely feel the change of weather now. I shall even cover up, which is unusual. What time is it now?
6:28.
I got 2 minutes before after.
Guruji, during Navaratri, is there chanting these mantras not at night or sometimes?
So the Mahishasura Mardini has no restrictions. The Chandi is not chanted at night. If you're chanting, you can read the Chandi at night, but the recitation, because just like it's a Purana, there's no restrictions to the Purana, but restrictions have come because it's been seen to be different as a sadhana, right? And so when we recite the Chandi, if you're reciting the Chandi, it said first supposed to be initiated into the mantra, but if you're not still chanting, then it should be. It said there's all these rules. One, it should be done only in the daytime. It should not be done with the body moving. Like we chant like that. The Chandi should be chanted still body. It should be read, but not from your own handwriting. There's all these interesting rules, nobody should interrupt you or touch you while you're chanting. There's all these like restrictions to do it properly, but the reading of so in the Chandi itself, it says right at the end, it's called the Pulstuti, the final chapter, the second to the final chapter, chapter 12. It says that this hymn of my glories, the goddess herself is speaking, right, should be recited or read or heard or explained. All these are this is all type of yajna, right? So I'm not qualified to chant it. I don't want to mispronounce the Chandi. I'm too scared to recite the Chandi publicly. At least I can struggle slowly through the hymns, but it's because it's a powerful mantra. I don't want to mispronounce, right? So, but we can read it and we can explain it and think about it. That's the same as reading it without any danger, also, right? And it says that any auspicious occasion, any occasion becomes auspicious when this hymn is read or chanted or heard or explained, right? Especially, it says, the autumn worship of the goddess, which is now, right? Especially the Navaratri. So it's especially meant to be chanted or heard or read or explained on Navaratri. It displeases her. And then it says that by reading it, all inauspicious things, all bad dreams go away, all demons go away, and all ghosts go away, all bad planetary planetary effects get nullified. Children who can't sleep will go to sleep. I mean, there's all these called the Pulstitute gives like that. And I didn't mention. I will mention just in a few lines. There's a background story to these three stories about a king, a merchant, and a sage. The king is named Surata, the merchant is named Samadhi, and the sage is named Medas, right? And so Samadhi and Surata, they lose everything and they lose their kingdom, they lose their family, and everybody turns against them, and they find themselves lost in the forest or hiding in the forest, and they meet each other, and they start talking about my problems and your problem. I have the same type of problems, and one of them says, but the problem is, even though like my family has rejected me or my kingdom has rejected me, still I'm so attached to them. I'm wondering what they're doing. Are they happy? My sons who overthrew my kingdom and kicked me out, right? Still, are they okay? Are they eating well? Is my elephant being well fed? I mean this type of and they say, what is it? And so then they meet the sage Medas and his ashram, and they ask him, this king and me, I forget who's speaking, but the two of us, we have this problem. What is it that makes us attached to the very thing that give us suffering? And he says, oh, it's Mahamaya. Right? Right? It's Mahamaya. And Mahamaya, who is this Mahamaya? What is this Mahamaya? What are her stories? And then he starts, once upon a time, when Vishnu was laying in the cosmic ocean, Brahma came out, and these stories are told to explain what is Mahamaya. Right? He says that's Mahamaya throws everything into illusion, including great sages. Right, so we're all trying to be little sages. We're not great sages, but even the great rishis, even Vishnu is thrown into Maya by her. Right, he says when that's her nature. She in the world of duality, she throws everyone to Maya. It's only her, and because of that, we don't see her. Which is our point we've made again and again for years. Right, but when worshipped, when remembered, when prayed to, when thought about, then she removes. She gives realization. Called Vijamaya, Advijamaya, to use Thakur's thing. She deludes everyone, and she liberates everyone or illuminates everyone. Right. So again, to all these stories and that hymn, remembering her is the solution. Forgetting her, but also forgetting her is her, remembering her is her. That's the problem. So we have to. So Thakur would pray to her, right? Oh mother, do not delude me by thy world bewitching Maya. Right. Oh, that's only you. Your Maya, it's your Maya and your Maya, both. It's like it's both yours and it's you, right? But that's not the form of you that I want. I want to remember you, not forget you, right? So we see her and forget her. We want to see her and remember her, right? We want to see her, not just remember, and not miss her. And so that's the difference between illusion and liberation. There's actually no, like Swamiji said, from one instant you remember her, forget her. You go from liberated to bound within one trick of the mind. With skateboard. Excellent. That's a dangerous thing. Yes. So anyway, so this made us Samadhi and Surata, right? Made us. Last minute thing I want to not forget because it's an important part of the Chandi. Surata means good cart, a good chariot, right? It means good action, right? So king represents dharma, dharmic action, and samadhi represents union and meditative absorption, right? So we sometimes say that these are the two sides, the internal and the external point of religion. Externally, it's dharma. We live dharmic, righteous lives. How to live in this world? How to live in Mother's realm, right? Conscious of her and serving her and doing the right for her, right? But internally, how to become in union with her, how to become one with her, how to realize her, right? And that question, who do we ask? Medas means very subtle intelligence. Medas Shakti. We've forgotten Medas. All of us have, if we train ourselves to awaken again, right? Our Medas, to our inner, we could maybe call it spiritual intuition, right? And this story is a mythological story, you could say. It's a history of a certain story. It's a history of ancient mythology, you could say, right? What does that mean? It's a story. It's using the language of Medas is not clear description. It's intuitive, it's subtle, it's poetical, right? It's symbolic, it's metaphorical, it's mystical, it's shamanistic, and so we all have that. So this whole story can take place within a second. We have to find that. We have to find Medas. Sometimes we have Medas inside, but sometimes we need to find him outside. So then we find Guru, right? We call Chaita Guru and Bahir Guru. Chaita Guru means our own mind becomes Guru if we can find our Medas. Thakur said the purified mind and the purified soul is the same, right? The inner Guru is there. But sometimes we go to an external Guru. We go to the sages. We go to the scriptures. And somebody called Medas. Please, how do we do it? And he tells these stories. But Medas is not an external person, right? And also the gurus themselves tell us that the guru is not outside, right? That and the guru says the guru is not outside, and the goddess says I'm not outside, right? The Ishta says that the Thakur said the guru merges into the Ishta merges into Brahman. Right, so the whole process is a very deep, internal, meditative. We do lots of pujas and kirtans and the things to invoke and remember. But you can feel as the sun goes down right now, the tendency to want to like go deep and find that subtle awakened Medas and get the answer to these deeper, fundamental questions. Well, this will properly end. Jai Ma Kali, Jai Ma, Jai Ma. Happy Navaratri. Alrighty then. You want to hit the Jai Ma. Thank everybody online for listening. Jai Ma Kali. I wish you were here.
Something like being here. Oh, no, no. Oh, your foot's asleep.